Meanwhile... Yeah, the Great Clock
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, in space!
Clank was strangely left alone, instead of actually being prisoner of Nefarious. Behold, science.
Hello? I'm sorry! I was only trying to help! Back up! Don't make me use force! Weapon!
Like I said in the first part, you can tell when Nolan North is trying to break out a bit from his usual, standard voice, with 3 different layers of sarcasm that he had to premiere with Nathan Drake.
Here at the Great Clock. Forgive me, but what is the Great Clock?
Also, in case you're wondering, yes, because this is Insomniac, I am dead convinced they have several, not just one, several outtakes where characters, instead of saying Great Clock, says exactly what you instead think.
I'm not really sure.
And I am confident because this is Insomniac, they actually have stored them in a USB somewhere. And I want to know.
It reminds me of that one organization in Ninjago who has the, interestingly enough, the acronym that ends up saying, well, that term indeed.
Oh, no! Oh, come on! Stupid hypersonic brainwave scrambler.
It wasn't really Nolan North's fault, he was just basically doing his job of being directed to be like that. But the problem is that because of the mass popularity of Uncharted, every single game that, already had Nolan North or wanted to have, Nolan North, just adopted that type of voice and basically adjusted the personality. Not even kidding, because I did experience that last year just to make sure. Desmond Miles from Assassin's Creed changes his personality from one game to the next, Brotherhood, because of this very thing, just because Ubisoft wanted the character to have that personality so it could be more marketable, basically. Even though it makes no goddamn sense when he will do that.
Open your optical drive. This is senior personnel. I'm with XJ0461.
It's weird because, they bothered to change all that stuff despite the fact that they killed him that game.
Well, no, they killed him in 3, not in Brotherhood.
Right, free, my bad. Free, but
anyway,
all the
this
same,
is introduction of how our puzzle works. Because we don't have the zoning type of puzzle from the previous game nor the gadget bots, there's something completely new. This was the period of time where Portal was very popular and other games like Braid. So what we do is play around with time recording. If anything, this is also similar to an exact type of mechanic that what's it called? The Talos Principle will use. I don't remember when that came out originally. Basically, as Sigmund very excruciatingly actually showcased to you, you record yourself doing something tangible that helps you open the door. Again, it starts very easy, obviously, but they will become more complex and they're not affected by the difficulty, so you really have to think with your noggin for this one, which I appreciate again.
It's an interesting idea, the idea of a physical time construct based off of past or future versions of yourself that can leave a sense of mass in, well, what is currently your present.
Also, the whole thing with Nolan North got so out of control that the very first joke when you get in Saints Row 4, the very first during the character creation, is that as a parody of Mass Effect, you do get basically different voice acting options for your character, so, male 1, 2, and 3 and female 1, 2, and 3, but for the male option you get the fourth one, which is just Nolan North. Not even male 4 and it is Nolan North, just Nolan North, and it's played completely straight.
I'll admit, as a kid, I never really noticed Nolan North around too much. Granted, that probably helped that because I didn't have a PS3, I didn't really get in on the Uncharted.
One of his early video game roles, I don't know if it was one of his early roles period, but one of his first early roles is actually in Final Fantasy XII as a boss there instead. So, I have to actually rewatch it because I did not remember, because he kind of sounds a bit out of his comfort zone there. You can kind of tell.
I will give him credit. credit, I feel like he has a massive amount of range. Like, dude has a ton of roles and whatnot to the point where at some point it was joked that Troy Baker would have to be the new Nolan North in terms of being the person who could do all those voices
Well,
and
I
whatnot.
I disagree on that because, like I said, outside of very specific examples, you guys mentioned engine last time, but outside of a specific example, usually, at least for the examples that I heard of, are basically two. You know, the standard one with the layers of sarcasm, you know, like Nathan Drake, or the more snappy, hilarious, quirky one that he uses for stuff like Deadpool.
Apparently, Nolan North's first ever role was in a video game called Interstate 82, where he played someone named Pinkley.
I think I think I heard the name Interstate 82, but my point being, you know, like I said, the guy is just doing his job, basically, so, you know, there's nothing much you could do, but if you try to listen something like his role as General Zod in the first Injustice, he's not even trying in that.
I guess I really need to have a re-listen to a lot of his roles, because I've never had that issue of immediately pegging it as him, except for times where he's using his iconic
Like I said,
voice, like...
the telling is when the character screams, because that's the one telling sign, because Nolan North cannot actually do, you know, an impression for a scream, unfortunately.
He's in your head, of course. They're locked away on a secret partition in your memory banks. Doctor Nefarious spent over...
Alright, here's instead where things get interesting. Because of Clank's particular role for the Great Clock, he has to periodically get into these stations, the mnemonic stations, in order to have these programs updated, which also means telling a bit more of his history. By talking with the person that normally would own and properly, you know, take care of the Great Clock into an Apple store, by God.
Don't you know, Apple can only be the good guys.
This is Orvus. If you notice the voice, he's been the narrator, you know, at the very beginning explain about Clank. And, you wanna know who is voiced by? Charles Martinet.
Soul came from a robot factory, did you? I created you. Oh, you must have...
Yeah.
So that's the second Mario we get. I'm pretty sure if they actually had been able to do it, Insomniac would try to resurrect Captain Lou Albano for another role. Anyway, that's basically the gimmick major introduced for Clank for this section. Is a signature weapon called the Chronoscepter. As Orvus, well, this particular Orvus is basically just a program, as I think we're about to explain. The gimmick of Clank is entirely taken care about, you know, the Great Clock. Also, in case you were wondering, all the power-ups we acquired in Tools of Destruction, they're just gone. No laser arms, no special wings, just gone. Which is kind of a shame. Now, to be fair,
Nefarious took them off of him?
his toolkit has actually... Yeah, I guess it is a possible explanation. Now, his toolkit actually gets a different kind of wave of things with these time-based powers, which are pretty cool, to be honest. But,
bomb may be thrown at a time.
my god.
Hey,
Also, again, if you bother to listen, Charles Martinet sounds very different even for other roles where he had to use a more normal voice, like one of the dragons in Skyrim, which, by the way, was 2 years after this, so yeah, Insomniac did it first. So here's the gimmick with the Chronoscepter. When you hit something that is not organic, it literally reverses time until it fixes it. So again, interesting gimmick. Instead of actually breaking things like Ratchet would do, you actually bother to actually fix that. You even get a trophy if you actually bother to fixing up objects in the Great Clock.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And it still gives you balls, so why not? Hey, there's Halloween. Basically, these play different flashbacks in sections where when Clank was present.
From time to time, various creatures find their way into the clock. A good caretaker protects the equipment.
That would be funny
at
if it
all
turned out the big
costs.
twist was that Quark created Clank, but at some point lost the smarts that made him remember that he made Clank. You know.
Well, speaking of Quark,
Perhaps a buffoon who has made life difficult for you in the past?
Oh.
I mean,
The exact description.
Pretty
Holy
much.
cow.
just a bit chibi, but you know, we're not picky. Basically, this is just to teach you combat, and I'm like, I mean, sure, I guess for, you know, necessity, but it's not that hard.
Oh wow, just like Ratchet, we whack stuff with a stick. How
Yeah.
complex.
You know, when you're looking up, yeah, even at this time, you know, Charles Martinet was doing a lot more non-Mario stuff than you might think.
Go on.
In hindsight, it was probably smart of him not to just rely on Mario, even if Mario at the time seemed like a surefire golden goose.
What I did there? Oh my.
But yeah, I might as well use this to talk a bit about the major retcon, which is now probably the time to mention. Yes, you know that Mother, you know, bought central data that quote-unquote created Clank in the first game. That might have been inspired by Orwell's to make Clank the way he is. Possibly for the sake of actually giving, you know, in connotations to be similar to the Zoni, because Jesus metaphor. We're literally doing that. Clank is literally Robo Jesus, basically.
Like I said with Tools of Destruction, I don't necessarily hate these retcons, but the retcons they do with Ratchet and Clank in the future series are just kind of ones that make
I
me
mean, part of me gets it. You want to make things more grandiose for both our characters, but you know, with Ratchet you already have the whole Lombax thing, so what do you do for Clank? Because the first game bothered to explain the backstory, you know, so you need to do something. But, I don't know, this just feels very convenient, you know.
I guess part of the issue is also, well, I feel like Ratchet and Clank have had enough adventures to more or less establish themselves as just heroes that happen to come to be, but they rose to the occasion. Now suddenly making it so that they're the chosen ones,
both of them.
all this and that. I don't know. Like, it's not necessarily bad, but it feels kind of needless at this point. It's like, okay,
also, my god, I can barely see things with all this radish bloom. Jesus.
Goodness. Like I said before, the bloom's out of control, but okay. Let's imagine if, say, Superman already became a superhero before getting the knowledge that, say, his parents sent him to do good or whatnot. It's like, well, okay, it's good, but he's already fulfilled his purpose. Or imagine if, say, the Chosen One in a prophecy technically already fulfilled that point of a prophecy, but then years after they've succeeded, someone goes, by the way, you were destined to do this or that. Like,
it shows me you haven't played the Thief games, Jordan. Yeah, go on, please.
No, I have not.
Has anyone played Residents of Fate?
Me? Oh yeah, Nolan North was in that too as Vashidon.
Yeah, and so was Charles Martinet. He played Cardinal Lagerfeld.
Oh, one of the villains, basically. Although the only one that stands out to me is mostly Garigliano. But to be fair, at the cost of sounding mean, I don't really play Resonance of Fate with its English dub. Some characters are fine, like I said, Vashidon, played by Nolan North, for example. But my god, a lot of others, especially one of our main characters, Lian, or Ringbell, as she's called in Japanese, she has a very distinct type of voice in Japanese, but for some reason they got Jessica Di Cicco to voice her in English, and they told her to sound bored as all hell, which is not what the character is going for. And it just sounds wrong.
Pretty good at this, sir.
You'll probably be able to hear it. When I record it eventually, I'll probably try to make a comparison about it at the very least.
Regarding your question
so
about
she's a victim of bad direction.
Most likely. Which honestly, again, she's not like the only one. A lot of the other, you know, a lot of the other, you know, voices suffer from the same thing. Alright, if I recall correctly, this is the point where I say enough. Let's turn this thing down.
Oh God, like I'm sorry. I get me. I mean, maybe they thought it would look cinematic, but
And it's still not that much, but you know, it's more acceptable at the very least.
So, when
I'm
did
surprised.
J.J. Abrams get it?
I mean, I think even J.J. Abrams would say to chill it out. Like kissing is mainly lens flare, but this feels like if every single surface was given its own lens
The
flare.
thing
It's
is
so
that
far.
I normally don't even touch the brightness setting in other games because I normally don't have too much of a problem. You know, the whole test where they say, you know, push left or right until the figure is barely visible. You know, that classic one.
Yeah.
Normally I don't really touch it because it seems calibrated enough, but for this game, just specifically for the Great Clock, probably because of all the abundance of, you know, yellow around, it's just basically soaring around.
I can only imagine how like I forget if it was I can only imagine how the PS4's HDR mode would try and handle this. Like, would it actually correct it, or would it think it's supposed to be bright and make it even brighter?
No idea, especially because I haven't tried this with the streaming program, because, like I said, all the PS3 Ratchet Clank games are available for the PlayStation Now streaming program, so, you know, but I haven't tried this, so this was a generic recording from my PS3 copy.
Temporal recording initiated.
I do wonder why they felt the need to give Clank his own staff that he holds, like similar to how Ratchet has the wrench. Like, I mean, Clank's typically been fine enough with just the punches and kicks.
Well, again,
Because it looks cool.
not to mention the Chrono Scepter is also that ability of restoring objects of that, that you know, it and gives you the quantum bomb things. You know, sure, I guess you can make an argument, oh, could have just used that as the basic program, but I don't know, I think it still gives it a bit of importance. And again, the whole thing about the Great Clock is that it's very important, as the speeches from Orvus will keep hammering in. So basically, you know, this, according to this, the caretaker needs to have, you know, something to use for that.
Temporal recording
Anyway, regarding your question about me and the Thief series, I have, at the most part, a tertiary look at the Thief series. Like, I mean,
recorded.
I've looked at them. I've maybe had a bit of a
I'll
glimpse
probably
over.
record those as well, don't worry. The only gist that you need to know is that the original trilogy is fine, while Deadly Shadows is a bit wonky, admittedly. The reboot of Square Enix try to do is mostly of the gameplay variety. I don't mind too much of the story, but... And they screwed over Garrett, the protagonist, original VA, I forgot his name. They kind of screwed him a couple of times, mind you, not just for FIFA, because I keep forgetting who he was, what voice actor was. I'll search in the meantime, basically. But the point is that, for just another example, because FIFA premiered basically the immersive sim genre, basically, they wanted to have the same VA to voice Booker in Bioshock Infinite. You know, and for a couple of trailers it was there. But if you remember, that game had a very troubled development cycle. Took a very long time to make. Changed face a couple of times, and by the end product, instead they slapped in Troy Baker because it was the popular thing to do.
You know, that is the interesting thing, like how, I know we talk about celebrities in movies taking certain roles, but, you know, I guess in a sense, video games have grown to a point where now even they technically have their own celebrity
it's the other
picks,
side of
essentially.
it's the flipping of the coin. Basically, we get potentially voice actors who, you know, become way too prestigious and either, you know, become typecast and or grow an ego as a result. Because yes, like I said, you know, a lot of them, you know, are just doing their job, but people like Troy Baker absolutely did grow an ego over time.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I like Troy Baker's talent, but the man could sometimes make an ass of himself.
Anyway,
Was that whole AI thing that he had to backtrack on?
oh god, just for an example. Anyway, for some catharsis, now your first boss is Clank. Instead is the hypersonic brainwave scrambler, which is actually pretty cute and an ultimate test of the mechanic that you learned.
I'll admit, I'm surprised you didn't just turn the brightness settings all the way down, because
I thought
even
it was a good
midpoint,
compromise. I made a mistake.
it's like, look at this. I can barely see what's supposed to be a transparent surface. And
Especially
like,
because instead in the cutscene it's mostly fine. But anyway, yeah, looks like this was staged obviously by Nefarious and Lawrence. So meanwhile,
of course he has his own evil lair.
shaped like his face.
Ready on set?
I should never have quit dental school.
I mean, it's your choice, man.
Action! You'll never take me alive, Quack. Time is under my control.
Oh, am I interrupting?
Lawrence, I'm rehearsing my epic romantic action comedy space opera.
I'm sure it will be a hit.
I just thought it prudent to tell you Clank
That sounds
is
like a
en route to
complete
the
mess of
August
a movie.
chamber. Sir.
Splendid! The moment we've been waiting for is now. Now, if there's nothing else to discuss.
There is one
Specifically,
small matter.
yeah, Quark and Ratchet. So you know what that means.
There we go.
Which is unfortunately ruined by more outdated terminology because TJ Figman thought that, you know, Roma stereotypes were funny. Yeah, just do that. Yeah, thank
You know, there's one way to defeat him. Just leave him frozen like that and never wake him up.
Very good, sir.
That's the
you. Oh,
thing.
you're gonna love this part, Ribs.
Engaging the safety so as not to kill any more troops.
It's not even loaded, you moron! Look!
Yeah.
Next!
And of course, in true Sonic style, the ending is the same situation about to be repeated with more people. Classic, similar to the Spyro games. Anyway, tune in for the next part, where we reprise the action with Ratchet and see what happens. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.